My name is Alan Pitt. I'm a professor of neuroradiology. This is from a presentation given at the American Telemedicine Association meeting in May of 2000 in Los Angeles. I'm also the chief medical officer for Avizia, a telemedicine company. I believe that the history of PACS has a lot to say about the future of telemedicine. PACS is picture archiving and communication systems. It's the computer system that radiologists use to look at their images. If we look at the history of PACS, it really started in this country in 1994 when my friend Elliot Siegel created the first filmless department at the Baltimore VA. At that time, he was able to convince the entire organization to convert from film to filmless. Throughout the country, we were not quite as innovative, and computers in radiology were slow to have an uptick. At that time, I was a resident, and we used to hear all sorts of complaints from different radiologists about why PACS would never become the standard. People would say digital quality will never match film. Film just is better. Computers are too slow, and frankly, radiologists realized that the computers would make it so that fewer radiologists were necessary to read the work, and they didn't like that from a professional perspective. Well, although radiologists were somewhat slow to adopt these new computer systems to read films, others were not so slow. One of the first things that happened was that business actually got into the business of looking at things remotely. Nighthawk, which was a company formed in 2001, presented themselves as solving the problem of gap coverage. Night call with specialty radiologists reading when the local radiologist did not want to read. They went to market with ideas around price and quality, although fundamentally price was really the main driver. Nighthawk solved the issues of business models and licensure, and that was that not only did you have to have technology, but you also had to have a business model to pay the physicians, and you also had to figure out a way that people from anywhere could read any study. In the general market, we saw an evolution of modality adoption, which was we were just solving ultrasound or CT. This is similar to what we're doing in telemedicine today, where we might solve telestroke, behavioral health, single verticals, and we had early enterprise adoption at this point. Well, moving forward, Nighthawk, of course, had to grow, and soon Nighthawk was not interested in nighttime, and they were looking for other ways to grow their business, and they began competing with radiologists locally. So they thought, well, I have specialty radiologists. We can read them better. We can read them faster. And we should begin competing with the local radiologist covering a hospital. And this is where radiologists came into conflict with many of the Nighthawk or virtual services. You also began to see PACS adoption where it was now enterprise adoption, where instead of just covering one or two modalities, you actually saw PACS covering all modalities throughout the enterprise. I think we're going to see this mirror what's happening in telemedicine again, where we see different verticals, stroke, behavioral health, messaging, they're all going to collapse down to a platform that the IT folks can manage rather than multiple solutions, each for a particular problem. Well, as we approach 2015 now, we can see that the world of radiology is largely collapsing down into larger and larger groups. There's tremendous merger and acquisition, consolidation. We can see large groups that are developing across the country that solve issues related to operational efficiencies and data management, which are an evolving problem for many radiology groups. Meaningful use is certainly something that is here to stay, but as an individual radiology group, the requirement to report on data simply becomes overwhelming. Teleradiology group growth is outstripping the number of radiologists that we have in the US. So we can see that there's a lot more teleradiology that is services offsite over time, and I expect to see that to become an even larger and larger part of the market. I would note that many radiologists are really struggling with some of these changes in that they have gone from private practice, they own their own practice, to employed physicians in fairly large numbers. You're also seeing the loss of what I'll call a local monopoly. It used to be historically that the person who read your study was the local radiologist. Now we can basically sell services based on a global marketplace. It's the best service at the lowest possible price that could be read by anyone, anywhere. So really, this is the slide I most want you to pay attention to. So teleradiology and telemedicine have largely had a barrier between them, and this seems somewhat artificial to me. Both of them provide a very similar service, which is remote care delivery. Both of them have many similarities in terms of the technology required to stand them up. As we see the rise of consumerism in this country, I am expecting to see similar changes within all of clinical medicine to what has happened within teleradiology over the last 2 decades. That is, local monopolies, doctors who provide a service to a hospital, will have to compete with global marketplace for clinical services. And people will buy and sell, whether they're the payer or, frankly, the consumer. They will look for the best value possible. This is very disruptive to many physicians and, frankly, causes a lot of anxiety. I would also tell you that teleradiology and telemedicine should be viewed as co-travelers. Whenever one service is offered, the other service should be considered. 80 to 90% of the same data stream required for teleradiology supports telemedicine. It's really the addition of video and workflows that are required for telemedicine. The same complaints that I heard from radiologists are the issues that I now hear from my telemedicine colleagues. Well, frankly, the physical exam is really fading as part of the care cycle. We're going to really have to reconsider how we take care of the burgeoning number of folks who need care at a lower cost with better performance. So in short, look back on the history of teleradiology. Look back to see what happened over the last 20 years with the introduction of PACS, because the same sorts of things are now going to happen inside telemedicine because the technology enablers are present. The same business models and same considerations are going to be brought to the market. I personally believe that there may be an opportunity for radiology services to step into the fold and actually take some ownership position, some understanding of telemedicine. After all, we've spent 2 decades understanding not only the IT perspective, but also the professional and business perspectives of offering remote care. I want to thank you very much.